Tabby is the place to be at the moment, right? Everybody wants to work for Tabby. Tabby is mainly known as a BNPL, right? Buy now, pay later. Your one stop for anything related to finances, right? You're gonna be able to actually use Tabby as a bank. We've been doing a 3x year on year.
How you and your team specifically are adopting and using AI.
Everybody is somewhat expected to adopt AI. Don't need an AI to give us the best CVs. We actually need the AI to get rid of 70%.
How you have gone about managing such volume of growth.
The biggest lesson I learned is do not keep high performers that are toxic.
How do you see AI working in combination with humans?
Everybody's like, yeah, but you cannot lose this human piece, to which I disagree.
Welcome to Scale with Purpose. Today I'm joined by Alex Corbin, Head of Talent at Tabby. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here.
How are you doing?
All good. Sunny Dubai. Couldn't be better.
Amazing. And you rode in on your motorbike.
And I rode in on the motorbike. I'm one of the few brave ones who actually do ride all year round, including the summer.
To avoid all of the traffic, right?
To avoid all the traffic. I mean, look, I think it's worth it in the sense that you do sweat a bit, but you save a lot of time. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. Cool. Well, look, it's fantastic to have you here, firstly. So thank you for joining.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to dive into your story and especially around your time with Tabby. So if any of the listeners don't know, it'll be great to dive a little bit deeper into your story, your background, a little bit about you and how you came about to join Tabby.
Yeah, sure. So background, I think it's going to be the boring classic background. Drop out of college, joined your classic British agency back in London. At the time, I was working on the French-speaking market, specifically working on pharma and SaaS technology. Not necessarily passionate, not what I would call recruitment, right? It's pure sales.
Yeah. You
don't care about the customer. You don't care about the candidates. You care about the commission and the money you take back home. So I did this for some time. Didn't like it. Still decided to give recruitment a second chance, let's say. And so this is when I actually joined an RPO in Poland called Toolbox for HR. And this was founded by an ex-Googler, the guy who actually set up all the first tech offices for Google across Europe, working for a bunch of amazing clients around the globe. That took me to Algeria, Bangladesh. So very, very cool. From there, moved to Berlin, which was becoming a massive hub. Did a bit of time with HelloFresh and then joined a small startup called Zizou, kind of like your booking.com for boat rentals. Yeah. Did this for some time, loved it. And then wife told me it's time to leave Berlin. Necessarily enjoying it. And this is where I connected with a previous colleague who was at the time in Dubai working for Talabat, opened our agency. Who recruitment was fun for some time, got a bit bored. Then the whole tech crisis hit around 2022. This is where we started to struggle getting new clients in and just not having this passion for recruitment agency. Decided to start looking for something else. Agency reached out to me, presented me to Helena Kitor, who's our chief people officer at Tabby. I knew Tabby because I actually used Tabby when I moved to Dubai back in 21, and I just knew right away this was the place I wanted to work for.
Amazing.
Funny story is I was actually rejected by Helena.
Really?
I actually was rejected.
Amazing.
I was rejected by Helena.
What was the feedback?
The feedback.
Do you remember?
Yeah, and it's still feedback she gives me. Funny enough, too salesy.
Really?
Too salesy. Okay. Overselling, you know?
Right. That makes sense coming from an agency background.
So, look, in the end, recruitment, not talent acquisition, because talent acquisition is much larger, right? But like the recruitment piece, one way or another, you are constantly selling, right? Yeah. You're selling the company to the opportunity to the candidate, right? But you're also selling the candidate to the business, right? And so that was the feedback. Look, there's one thing which I think is actually good for everybody to know is like, don't give up.
Yeah.
I did enjoy this meeting with Halina. I did feel there was a connection. Loved the opportunity. Tabby was about to begin its massive scale up, right? And I knew I wanted to be part of it, so I actually reached out to her, saying like, "Hey, look, I respect your decision. Like, no worries, but given where you are today, you might want to consider me as a contractor." And so I actually joined Tabby for 2 months as a contractor,
Cool.
and then was offered the position of head of TA after those 2 months. And it's gonna be 3 years on the 10th of May, and it's been
Amazing.
fantastic. And look, turns out it worked pretty well with Halina. So yeah.
Amazing. That's really, really cool. It's just testament to perseverance, firstly.
Yeah.
Thinking slightly sort of out of the box and not just going with the first answer that you get. And it's obviously paid off. You're now working with the well-known unicorn that is Tabby of the Middle East.
Yes.
Which is an incredible business. And as we all know, most of the listeners should know of Tabby, especially in the Middle East and GCC, going through huge growth over the past few years. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, almost tripling in valuation over the past few years or so. I might be wrong, but
we've been doing a 3x year on year. It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, the growth of the business. I mean, what we have is fairly unique, but on top of that, we do have a fantastic team, right? And we do have very passionate co-founders, not first-time founders. I mean, our CEO Hossam Arab was one of the co-founders of Namshi, which is the success we all know, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
amazing. It's awesome. And actually, for any listeners that are based in Europe, let's say, or the rest of the world, you'll be familiar with Klarna. And Klarna, as we all know, are an absolute powerhouse. So would you liken Tabby as a kind of GCC alternative?
No. So
I think that's what most people probably would think.
So yeah, so that's the. So let me tell you a bit more about Tabby.
Please.
Not the recruiter selling. So yeah, obviously Tabby is mainly known as a BNPL, right? Buy now, pay later. We allow our customers to split their payments into 4 installments, 0% interest rate, and then obviously, well, that's where the whole success started to begin. Now, what is happening at Tabby is we have diversified our product offering, and right now what we are actually doing is we are moving into becoming a super app, right? Kind of like, Kareem, you've got all drivers, deliveries, etc. And so what we are building at Tabby is actually your one-stop for anything related to finances, right? And I mean, so yes, we have the buy now, pay later that is still one of our core products, right? We have the Tabby card, which is, look at it a bit more like a credit card. It's not exactly a credit card, right? But you do get cash back. You do get advantages. You can pay anywhere with it, right? We're starting to offer our customers the possibility of sending money abroad. And right now, recently, still in a beta phase, let's say, about to roll out in the entire country. You're going to be able to actually use Tabby as a bank, let's say. So we don't want to call ourselves a bank because that's not our goal, but it's really like the all money app. So Klarna, no, it's a bit of Klarna with a Revolut twist on it, right? Nice. Let's put it that way. Probably closer to Revolut.
Very good. And going through such growth, coming from an agency background, transitioning into an internal position, it can be quite a shift for many, right? I've been internal myself, and so I understand that with the right kind of mindset, you treat it as if perhaps Tabby are your own customer in many ways, right? That's my perception. But how have you found the transition going from agency into managing an internal recruitment division?
So it was not that complicated in the sense that I did not really transition from like agency to becoming internal, right? I did work in an RPO even when we had our agency, right? I mean, we never really found our niche, right? So it was like agency there, RPO there. So we were working on a bunch of different models. And then I also did 3 years at Zizou where I was actually head of HR, right? So I mean, definitely internal. So I knew where I was. I mean, I knew. No, I didn't know actually where I was going to land. But I knew what was expected and good idea of like how things work internally.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So if we dive a little bit deeper into AI, okay, so it's the big talk right now across pretty much every industry across the world. So most companies have got budget for AI. Most companies are now looking at how they adopt AI, and this is across the board in pretty much any vertical, any discipline. And one of the areas that we have noticed to be the largest adopters of AI within most large organizations is HR and talent acquisition, for various reasons. But it'd be great to dive a little bit deeper into how Tabby and how you and your team specifically are adopting and using AI within your talent acquisition process.
Sure. So AI at Tabby to begin with. I mean, we're big AI users. Tabby is a very modern place, right? I mean, it is a tech company after all, and we do like to have control over pretty much everything we do, right? So, I mean, this goes from like opening our own call center because we believe we can do things better than a BPO, right? Building our own CRM in-house because we believe we can do things better, which proved to be right. We just launched last week our in-house HRIS, slowly building our ATS, right? So we're big in like building pretty much everything in-house. Now, AI, obviously kind of, so we build those cool things, right? And AI really, and I mean, it just opens a whole new world, right? And this is something we already see specifically in the call center, right? Where we have actually introduced an LLMA, so just like an agent that actually tackles the tickets, and that has been huge, right? The agent is roughly handling 70% of the tickets right now. So it's kind of like natural that everybody is somewhat expected to adopt AI, right? We do have a budget of $250 for everybody at Tabby.
Wow. Okay.
For AI, right?
250 a month?
A month.
A month?
A
Okay.
month,
Well, that'll
correct.
get you a Claude Max
I
subscription,
mean,
right?
Claude Max with top-ups on top of that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can go very, very far with this 250. So, obviously, engineers, big users, right? Now, the rest of the business is slowly catching up. And obviously, as you mentioned, HR and talent acquisition, big adopters. So, I mean, talent acquisition, we have like a lot of applications, a lot of interviews going on, right? And I mean, we still have the call center, which is also mass hiring. We've hired in the past 4 months. So we actually launched back in November. We started to build a call center in Riyadh. We've hired over 800 people since then, right? Wow. So mass hiring. Yeah. So, and very basic interviews per se. And so this was probably where we first actually started to use AI, and we kind of explored it and tested different things. It's still very, very human, but there's a bunch of areas where we're still exploring. So we have a big team of screeners. This is 3-minute call, just checking if you're still open for the opportunity, if you understand what the expectations are. Right? Do you tick the boxes? Yes, no, boom. So this is where we're planning on actually using an agent.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily need somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And being a bit analytical, we also see that the output, meaning hires made, equal effort, right? Yeah. And there's so much that a human being can do per day, right? I mean, obviously we're still humans. We have to see, and we're talking about dialing over 300 phone numbers per day, and that's a team of over 20 people, right? Yeah. So if you could actually just get like one agent running 24/7 on top of that, we do see that, like periods during Ramadan where we totally shift when the team works nighttime, because that's when the candidates are actually available. So this just unlocks a big thing. Then another big chunk, which is the assessment, not building it in-house yet. Just because, I mean, there's a big science behind assessments, right? Like, how do you assess like for this or that competency, etc. we're not professionals. We don't want to be either, right? So we're actually talking with a vendor who actually has machine learning integrated with it. They're actually the only ones in the planet, or so they say. I did check.
Okay.
It seems like it's a factual thing. So this allows us to like dynamically, let's say, change our scoring criteria. So look at it like kind of like a bell curve, depending on where like the median is. Well, it can like go up, go down, right? So we might be nicer at one point and harsher at another point, depending on the candidates we see. And so this becomes a whole new thing. Then what we did is we actually removed operations from the picture. And what we did is we built with operations like a clear competency matrix of what is expected from an agent, right? And what we do is, so we still have like recruiters, a bit more senior recruiters who conduct those final interviews. But ultimately what it is, it's a script, right? They go through this clear script, right? Depending on if the candidate answered this, well, you might want to ask this or that. You're unclear, then go there. So it's something that we mapped. And we're actually using an AI note taker, which then feeds the entire transcript and compares it to the competency matrix. And from there, it's scored. And depending on the score, we hire you or not.
Yeah.
And so it's basically an AI who tells us who we should be hiring or not. And surprisingly, it's been working pretty well, right?
Yeah, okay.
And once again, like if we see that we need to change the criteria, we just reprompt it and boom, gives us a whole new set of candidates. So this has been working amazingly in the call center environment. Now for the rest, and this is something we were in touch months ago. I think the biggest challenge a lot of teams around the world have is that we get a lot of applications, right? Candidates tend to think that you're always rejected by an AI or machine or whatever. At the time, we were not even saying AI, right?
Yeah.
The reality is that, yeah, sure, some companies do, but I'd say probably 80%, it's actually a human who is manually rejecting and going through everything, right? And so, one, this means that given the sheer volume of applications we get, we don't have the time to actually go through everything, which is one, not the best candidate experience, right? Because it's like I applied and they don't even get back to me. I just got this generic thank you for applying and that's about it. Two, missed opportunities. Because if you actually like really start digging into all the applications you get, we all know that 70% are, I mean,
maybe not relevant.
They're just not relevant, like especially in the region where everybody kind of like takes their chance at it. And it's like, hey.
Yeah, but also actually it's interesting because AI has its benefits. We're just touching on some of those points now. But the other side, especially for job applicants, candidates on the market, I think it's potentially putting some candidates at risk of burning their own reputation because there's a bunch of tools out there that are enabling candidates to apply to multiple jobs automatically, right? Which I think is a slight risk because they could be applying for roles that maybe they haven't had, oversight and their CVs are just being sent all over the place. But let's put something into perspective because for a company like Tabby, if you posted a job ad out for a software engineer or even for one of your call center positions, within a 48-hour window, on average, how many applicants would you expect to receive?
So depends on the role and the geography, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about at least 1,000 applications for like a bit more of a niche role where you would have less applications. Yeah, within 24 hours, around 1,000.
So you're handling 1,000 applications, which, as you say, like is near on impossible for any recruiter to manually go through. And there's two sides to it. The first is you are potentially missing out on some really good candidates.
Correct.
The second side is that the candidates feel that they're not getting the best experience because they're not hearing back from you.
Yeah.
and then suddenly there's talk on the market saying, oh, Tabby never got back to us. But the reality is that there's just no way that your team can go through them. So are you exploring solutions on how you can get around this?
So yes. So look, so there's two things here, right? One is the candidate experience, right? Once again, it is important for us. And the other one is the talent acquisition partner experience, right? Because we do want to speed how we do things. So on one hand, it does. So we actually solve both. Are candidates necessarily going to be happy with what I say? Probably not. But the reality is that the way we look at it is we don't need an AI to give us the best CVs. We actually need the AI to get rid of 70%. So the
it's
lower
more manageable then, right?
Correct. Exactly. So that's the thing. So if we can actually get from like 1,000 CVs, which is not manageable, and once again, like this is like 24 hours, right? Yeah. So you don't have time to clean 1,000, and the next day you've got 2,000, 3,000, right? So if we can actually go from like, let's say 1,000 to 200, so 200 is actually an amount that a recruiter can actually spend time on and all this. I don't need the AI to tell me like, those are your top picks, because chances are they may not be, right? Because there's so much you can see out of a CV. And unless your CV was written by AI, we know how CVs, they're not great, right? So that's that. Now, this said, we can actually, instead of just keeping those CVs forever doing nothing, we can actually just send a message. Then yes, you would have been rejected by the AI, right? But at least you know where you stand. It's not like I applied at Tabby, maybe they get back to me. At least like, okay, I've been rejected.
Yeah, I see that. And I think we'll have to, on a side note, we'll have to sort of talk after, because I might have a solution for you.
Okay.
But it's really interesting. So if we just take a step back, when you first joined Tabby, roughly how many employees were there across the company?
Give or take, man, it was like 500-ish, 450, 400, around there.
And to give context on scale over the past 3 years, where are we at now in terms of headcount?
3,000?
3,000 roughly?
I'm counting the call centers as
well. Sure.
Yeah.
So that's huge growth.
Yes.
Right? That's massive growth.
Yes.
Over from 500 to near on 3,000 in the space of 3 years.
Yeah.
So I'm really intrigued to know how you have gone about managing such volume of growth over the past 3 years. So let's call it on average 1,000 people a year, right? So how have you managed that? And when it comes to the kind of key fundamentals of what you're assessing for when you hire into Tabby, what does that look like?
So this has changed over the time, obviously. So look, just to give you a bit more context, when I joined Tabby, there were 2 recruiters.
Okay.
There were 2 recruiters. Now we have a department of we're like close to 40 now. Yeah, around 40. So quite a growth, right?
Yeah.
And so what we did obviously is we like properly
structured
we structured it. Yeah. Classic, boring, tech, non-tech, and then there's CX, right? For customer experience. Yeah. So that's one thing. So everybody is like properly focused on what they're supposed to be doing and not running around, right? So that was the one thing. And then obviously as we continue to scale, then I have a team in Dubai. I've got a team in Riyadh. I've got a remote team. We hire engineers remotely, right? So we actually have a team of recruiters working remotely, and we also have a team in Egypt, right? So this obviously came up a bit later. Look, I've had it's been a very interesting journey actually scaling this TA team. We started from like pretty much nothing, right? At the time, there was Greenhouse. It was not even used.
Yeah.
We're just paying for nothing, right? We were not even sending the offer letters directly through Greenhouse, right? Yeah. So those are the first things I started to tackle, just kind of like processing things.
Yeah.
People will say it's boring. And so
It's important though, right?
it's very
Super
important, 100%, especially if you're about scale,
Scaling,
right?
right? Yeah.
So that was the first thing, right? Like starting to put like
Mm.
the first process in place so that we can actually, I mean, yeah, kind of
You
like
can
start
build from.
automating
Yeah.
part of our admin, right?
Mm.
AI was still not in the picture back then, right? And so this is where, you know, I already started to get the first pushbacks from the team, like, but that's not how we did things before. And it's like, yeah, sure, but that's how we need to do things now. It's not that I want to annoy you guys, but it's going to help you ultimately, right? And so, I mean, once again, for context, back then, every single engineer we were hiring was interviewed by our CTO. That has changed a long time ago, right?
That's pretty much like
very
that's
long time
impossible
ago,
to do, yeah.
right? But that's what it was, right? And look, I'll tell you, the biggest lesson I learned is do not keep high performers that are toxic. It seems silly in the sense that you hear it everywhere and we know it, right? I mean, I think it might even be in the Netflix playbook, whatever, right? But it's a reality. And I've had this has happened, unfortunately, twice, actually, in two different locations, funny enough, where, you know, with this growth, you know, you're like, do I keep this person? Like, toxic, pain in the ass, right? I mean, I don't enjoy my one-on-ones with the person, but that person delivers.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to fall in the trap of like, I need this delivery, right? Because I mean, the business is expecting me to deliver. So I'll suck it up. What happens is, what we actually call an agency, the mood hoovers, right?
Yeah.
And that's
classic.
And that's a reality, right? And so I did lose an entire team because of this, right? Everybody just kind of like poisoned themselves. We're against everybody, against leadership, against the stakeholders. Like they thought everybody was after them, which was not the case. Happened what happened, right? Had to let some go. Others then just followed, right? And we actually like cleaned the house. Very happy with the new team we have. And this is where we were careful on how do we hire. And so it was not only like, are you a top performer? But it's more like, do I see myself working with you?
Yeah.
How do you accept the Tabby environment, right? I mean, Tabby is not your average business, right? It's a bit of a American style. Hustlers, we work hard. Everybody works hard. If you do not work hard,
you'll stick out.
You will stick out, right? I mean, you won't. At the speed at which we're growing, there's no way you manage to follow the pace. It's just so for some people, it's like, you know, work-life balance very important for me. Cool, yeah, dude, like. Not an issue, and it's fine, and we respect it, right? For others, it's like, this is something I thrive in, right? It's like, it's exciting, it's just insane, and you see your impact, right? And so this was the new mindset we were looking for, right? If tomorrow, for whatever reason, well, not for like tomorrow, I'm gonna change the ATS and I'm gonna change the way we do things, right? And that's gonna put everybody outside of their comfort zone. Are you gonna whine about it, or are you gonna see the opportunity and get excited? And so that's what we're looking for, right? Also, a big part is stakeholder management, right? We've had big issues with the stakeholders because of this illness. I will say that was going in the team, right? And so now we're also like very careful when we hire. Like we really investigate like your stakeholder management skills, like, and it's not just, so we're not looking for stakeholder pleasers, right? Because that's one thing, you know, a lot of people tend to think that we're looking for somebody that's actually going to please the stakeholders.
It's a trap.
And it's a trap, exactly, right? We need you to challenge them.
Absolutely,
constantly, right? We want to keep them happy, but challenged. And this is the only way we will manage to bring in the best talent, but also talent that makes sense, right? Diversify the team, etc. So So yeah, so those were the major shifts, I would say.
It's interesting. I think one thing that I personally learned early on in my career is this whole concept of like managing upwards.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of relates to what you're describing around, you know, challenging your peers, challenging those that are senior to you.
Hmm.
But especially in a scaling company like Tabby, you need that sort of creativeness and challenging and opposing opinions to potentially think outside the box or with come up with
Yeah.
new ideas that are going to elevate the company to that next level, right? So that's really cool. We've already highlighted the fact that there's huge numbers of applications in the
Hmm.
region, and with that comes a huge amount of competition. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a huge amount of competition in the MENA for tech talent, for commercial talent,
Yeah.
etc. So beyond the fact that Tabby have the unicorn status, are a super well-known
Yeah.
brand, have the presence in the region, what is the actual reason, do you think, that people stay at Tabby and are still attracted to join Tabby at this stage?
So there's few things, right? There's few things. So one, it's the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so there's a bunch of things in opportunity, right? So one, Tabby is the place to be at the moment, right? Everybody wants to work for Tabby, right? We're doing a lot of noise on the market, right? And this is obviously something people want to actually be part of, right? Why do they actually want to be part of this? It's because we are moving so fast that every single person that joins Tabby today has the opportunity of actually, like putting their piece in the puzzle, right? And I really mean it, right? And I mean, if I look at myself, like everything I've actually done because I was entrusted, but also expected to, it's incredible. And I mean, sure, you might say, yeah, but you're the head of talent acquisition. That's why you're hired, and etc. But I mean, you can always like take it a level down, right? And like one level down, which is I'll stop Schweiker. My manager, he handles tech hiring, right?
Yeah.
So everything engineering related. So he actually managed to change the salary bands for engineers, right? But like big time, and we struggled. He changed the entire process, right? He managed to convince our CTO that we wanted to consider language agnostic candidates, right?
Yeah.
And so this has been an incredible impact on hiring engineers, like incredible, because I mean, we used to be stuck on for backends, for instance, Golang, nothing else. It has to be a Golang, but on top of that, it needs to come from like a big scaling product company, but somebody that also fits our salary bands, which at the time were less interesting, right? So like you would just like constantly like squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze, and at one point it's like, well, hey guys, we spoke with pretty much everybody, and we actually had spoken to pretty much everybody, and by doing all those changes, well then it just widens everything. And then once again, you can continue going down, right? I have a recruiter focusing on product that has actually changed the product process herself, right? By so she actually changed the case studies they actually give to kind. It's a recruiter, right?
Yeah.
And it's a recruiter that actually managed to do this, got our CPO to sign it off. So that's the opportunity.
You're having like a tangible impact on processes internally, right? And actually that leads on quite nicely. So in terms of obviously some of the kind of key metrics that any recruiter or internal recruiter, talent acquisition will measure will be usually around time to hire,
Yes.
potentially cost per hire, some other key metrics. But are there any other metrics that you're measuring internally as a team that gives you indication that the business is actually moving forward?
I mean, I don't think we're like reinventing the wheel, to be honest, although I wish we were. I mean, I think it's very complicated now to actually like reinvent those metrics, because everybody looks at the same ones, and there's a reason why you would actually be looking at the same ones. Although, like if you look at time to fill, which is the classic one, right? It's actually a wrong one. It's actually wrong because the thing is, you look at the average, right? And you know, if so who was I actually heard this one, and it was brilliant, right? So if you were to hire one candidate, and it takes like 1 year and another one day, right?
Yeah.
If you actually average out, you don't have the full picture, right? And so that's the thing. We do have roles that open like right away, and hey, we have the perfect candidate for this role. So ultimately, time to fill.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah.
We've had it, right? And we still continue having it from time to time. And other roles, it's going to take you like months. Then you average everything out and you're like, hey, it looks good. But it's wrong, because then you just kind of like close your eyes to this, like, is it normal to be looking for 3-4 months for, I don't know, a backend engineer? I'm just making things up. No, it's not, right? But you'll just kind of like ignore it.
Yeah.
It is still something we look. But there is one that is much more important for me, which is actually the time to hire. Time to hire, which is from the moment, or at least how we measure it, right? Because everybody has their little twist, right? So time to hire, from the first contact we have with the candidate to the moment the candidate signs the offer letter.
Okay.
This is something I measure, because if it drags, so I mean, there's few things, and I've seen like pretty much all case scenarios, right? But like basically, so if it drags, it means that somewhere in your process there is a bottleneck you want to be tackling. It can be a few things, right? It might just be the candidate went on a holiday and paused the process for 2 weeks. Happens, right? But we also see, and this is something we're tackling at the moment, is so for engineering, we have 180 potential interviewers. So you would think, yeah, awesome, great, no issues. Well, this is where we have the biggest bottlenecks. Because not necessarily committed to the recruitment process. I already did an interview this week. We set a maximum of 1, etc., etc. And so at one point, fixed now, right? We had a backlog of 2 weeks. So if we were to interview you today, you would only get your interview in 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
So this is where, and we spotted it, right? We were like, wow, this is not normal. So
yeah.
We onboarded new interviewers. We spoke with the CTO. We increased this interviewing limit to up to 3 per week, etc. Right, and also like made sure people really understand that. I mean, it's important for you to interview, right? Yeah. The other thing, which is also something I've seen, is I love this candidate. But I want to see a few more. and so this is where then, you've got like a time to hire, and we've had it, which was like 60 days. And it's like, but what happened? Like, how come it took 60 days for this candidate to go through the entire process? Reality was, no, he didn't go through the process in 60 days. He went through the process in like 6 days, 7 days, but then he just stood there and waited. In the end, we did offer the candidate, and he signed, right? Terrible candidate experience, right? And so this also just shows that, I mean, like undecisive hiring managers. And so this is where we're expected to actually jump in and challenge them, right? And just like also push back, like, hey, man, like, I mean, why do you have to constantly meet more and more candidates? We can feed you candidates forever.
Sure.
Forever. But then, like, what are you doing? You already have like a team.
Yeah.
We've got a competency matrix. Like, why are you comparing so much? Like, can you not actually take a decision? We usually see this with young managers. Like they're new. They're very scared to take this wrong decision. Obviously, our job is to make sure that we limit the risk, but hiring is always a bit of a gamble.
It's tough, right? It's tough when human emotions are involved and opinions are involved as well. It's always very difficult. And actually, that's one thing that I've seen a lot over my career is is indecisiveness for one, but also, setting a requirement and then midway through the process changing that requirement, or maybe having a perception of this is what I expected and it didn't quite fulfill my expectations. So that's why I want to see more candidates. But in reality, I think one challenge, and this is maybe at no fault to the hiring manager, but it's like sometimes hiring managers don't always have the ability to articulate what they're looking for. And let me explain this. So when a hiring manager is seeking a software engineer, let's say, sometimes there's real nuances, and this, per department and per team, how those teams operate, the culture within those teams, and so on and so forth. And specifically the type of engineer that hiring manager is looking for can really differ. So there's not always a sort of a standard template for a software engineer for every single team.
Correct.
So sometimes when that happens, we often see this challenge occur. So I think that there's a place for AI to potentially support with that, in working very much directly with the hiring manager to actually understand their requirements individually, right? So I think that's really interesting. And that kind of leads on to one thing I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into, which is around where the fact companies right now are adopting AI, right? But there's this whole notion of AI factories and AI studios. And one thing that is very apparent with Tabby is that you are moving away from the traditional kind of setup and structure of buying a bunch of HR tools and products from the market and adopting them and integrating them into your business and processes, to the point where you're actually building your own AI solutions. And we're seeing this heavily across non-technical functions are starting to build their own solutions. So on that point, what is it do you think you're looking for within talent when you're hiring into Tabby, on specifically around that? Because one thing we see is like this AI fluency piece is becoming really quite important for most companies.
Okay, so interesting question. I actually had a discussion a week ago with one of our directors of engineering.
Yeah.
So look, his answer was, because I actually came to him and I was like, hey, do you believe this is actually something that we might want to start to include within the interview process? His answer was no. So what he said is, one, so nowadays, an engineer that does not use AI today will just not be able to keep up, right? So most of them have already started to use AI on the daily work, right? And another thing is, a lot of it is also pushed by different businesses, right? One thing he said is, so one is, obviously we don't want to be hiring people that have zero understanding of AI, right? So we do tackle this point during the process, but we don't make a big deal out of it, right? There's not like a special test or absolutely not, right? It's just like a bit of a question, like AI, how do you actually use AI today? Yes, no, boom, that's it, right? And then what he's saying is, so, I mean, every single business uses AI differently, right? There's certain things you're allowed to do in, like a smaller business. Certain things you're not going to be able to do at Tabby, right? I mean, highly regulated business, lots of sensitive data, right? So we also have to be careful with those things, right? So what he's saying is that how hard is it actually to pick up? And it's actually pretty easy, right? And it was actually like, he kind of like reverted the question to me. He was like, how long would it actually take you to show one of your recruiters how to use AI in like the basic ways? And I was like, well, like not 5 minutes, right? So that was it. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't see candidates that absolutely don't use AI. And I'll give you an example. We had for product manager role, specifically on like the CRM, so dealing with specifically like the customer data, etc. And so the question was along the lines like, you get a data set of like 1,000 candidates, customers, whatever, like how do you analyze it, right? And so the answer of this product manager was right away, well, hey, I'm just gonna give it to the data analyst and whatever. So this is not what we're expecting, right? Today it's more like, well, I can actually feed it to Claude. Claude will do the entire analysis for me in like 2 minutes, right? So we do check those things, but once again, we're not being too
stringent on it. It's interesting. So, because again, like one thing that I've discussed quite heavily is around this like human engineering skill set being a super important fundamental that a lot of companies are screening for now, because naturally with AI, the output is only as good as the input. So your ability to human engineer with AI.
So that's a very good one. So funny enough, in roughly 1 hour, I actually have a meeting which is like AI in HR.
Cool.
Because it's a very, I mean, AI is a big topic at Tabby at the moment, right? And we're trying to understand like how big is it actually gonna become, and like what's actually gonna happen to the team, right? And I mean, this is something everybody's talking about, right? So we're not talking about letting go anybody right now. The question is a bit more like, can we purpose people? Like, I mean, what's like the, like if you take a sourcer, what's a sourcer tomorrow? Like, what can they actually do? And 100% they can do things, right? And we just have to think about it. So anyway, going back to this piece. So this is the biggest challenge we have, specifically in like HR and talent acquisition at Tabby. I'm not going to talk for the other ones. So, like you said, right? Like the output is as good as what you feed it. And so it's always like, but what do you feed it, right? To begin with, if your data is not clean, this is where everything starts to go sideways. And we've known for quite some time, and we've been working on it, right? Our data is messy. Not everywhere, but it's also because, data coming from like way too many sources, not going into one place, right? Another thing is what we collect versus what we want to see, which does not always match. And those are things, you kind of like realize it at one point and you're like, oh, I've been collecting the wrong data. So now we have to restart. And obviously it takes a bit of time. And the bigger one, which is why we're actually building all our tools in-house, is the control you can then have. So if you take an ATS, for instance, right? I don't really know a single head of TA that is like excited by the ATS they use. It's like sure, you've got like some good ATS on the market, right? I mean, that do solve a bunch of problems. Like, I mean, I think Ashby today is
great,
one of the best ones, right? But it's as good as it can be to please as many people as possible, right? But Tabby looks at things differently than Deliveroo does, for instance, right? But unfortunately, the ATS is configured in a specific way, right? And this is something that we see with our ATS today as well, right? And it's just like the logic we actually need is, I mean, it's just not the way it's set up, right? And so then the data we want to see, we cannot see. And so obviously by building everything in-house, well, you actually control it, right? And if you need to tweak it, you tweak it. So that's what we're doing. But look, bottom line is the challenge today is getting AI. So I mean, Claude, we're very big Claude users to actually like give you what you're expecting, just because he doesn't know where to find the data, or data is missing, or So yeah.
Amazing. It's super interesting, because what AI is enabling you to do ultimately is to customize every section of your process to exactly how you want it, almost to the nth degree. And you can even customize it around each of your team members so that they can work in how they work best, and so you're getting the best effectiveness out of all of your team members, right? And I think it's so many benefits to it. So 5 years from now, how do you see AI working in combination with humans within talent acquisition?
So the way I see it, and I know that this is something a lot of people don't agree / don't want to agree or admit that it's a possibility. I am convinced that talent acquisition is going to become a one-person department, right? Hopefully I'm that person.
You'd like to think so.
But might not even be, right? So if you look at talent acquisition today, it's a very operational job, right? We're a bit of like messengers. Okay. So there's few elements, right? So if you look at sourcing is the art of finding a specific candidate, right? And so this can be doing Google X-ray, GitHub, LinkedIn, our favorite, right? Just by, you write your little Boolean.
Yep.
You look at the profile, does it work, does it not work, right? And then obviously the more senior you are in the industry, the more understanding of things you will have, right? So, I mean, a silly one, right? But like, we know that Golang belongs to Google, right? So chances are, if you're looking for a Golang engineer, well, you'll get them at Google.
Yep.
Very silly example, right? But you get what I mean. If you have enough experience knowing that, hey, Talabat has, what do they have? Like C++, or C#, whatever, right? Then you know that this is where you want to be tapping, right? Now, the thing is, ultimately, AI will have all of this knowledge and much, much more.
Yeah.
With on top of that, the possibility of directly being, I mean, it will directly be linked to your ATS. So it will be able to understand the different profiles that are going through the process, the ones that make it to the offer stage, etc., etc. And from there, we'll be able to like better source ultimately and much faster and non-stop, right? So that is the sourcing piece. Scheduling, I mean,
yeah.
Even now, right? And this is something we're already starting. We're starting to use Claude to actually schedule things because he can, and it's amazing. And then you have the recruiter, right? Which is like, the human piece, right? Everybody's like, but you cannot lose this human piece. To which I disagree. You will lose the human piece at the screening stage, but it will remain down the line because, I mean, the interview process is not just recruitment. That's just the entry point, right? Then you have the team that takes over. So ultimately, a screening call will be performed by AI. It will be it'll be more transactional, right? Yep. But at the same time, this will allow us to bring in much more candidates into the process, right? So we're actually going to be able to give like chances to a lot more people. That's the way I see it. And from there, the candidates will move along the process, but this time they will actually meet humans, right? Which is the team. So this is why I think that talent acquisition is just not really going to be that relevant. So I still think there's going to be somebody at the top to kind of like, the master puppeteer.
That's right. Yeah.
And in the end, talent acquisition is going to be much more around, manpower planning, advising the business, right? Also like the whole comp and ban side of things, which is something I'm like heavily working on today. Because we don't have anyone else, so it just falls naturally under talent acquisition, right? And so this is how I see talent acquisition. So we're very like strategic department and no longer operational.
Yeah, I see that, and I have this conversation almost daily at the moment. You ultimately will evolve, and this goes back to our point earlier around how do you repurpose positions, because there's this whole like scaremongering on the market of AI is going to replace my role, it's taking my jobs, but the reality is not the case. Like, you just evolve your skill set, you evolve your role, and you transition into this orchestrator of a set of agents that are running the show, and then enabling you as the human to actually focus on the human aspects of the process and actually give a bit more time back to then like work on some more strategic tasks, right? So 100%. I agree. I personally agree with you. I'm sure there's many out there that don't, but time will tell, right?
It will take some time. I don't think it's happening like tomorrow. And I mean, we do see that. I mean, and I've been testing like, sourcing with AI. We're just not there yet at all.
I agree. And that all comes down to experience, right? Because if you've been in the game for 10, 20 years, like you know what a good candidate looks like. And sometimes, the sourcing aspect versus you finding a candidate. You've got the gut intuition that has been built over 20 years or something.
Correct.
It's super powerful, right? And so with all of this in combination and everything that is happening with AI right now, how do you actually scale with purpose at Tabby?
Scale with purpose.
Mm.
So that's that's the problematic. Let's put it this way, right? That's the problematic. And so this is where I am today, trying to understand how do I scale with purpose.
Mm.
So we have reduced hiring, right? Not just because of the geographical challenges we're
Yeah.
having at the moment, because the business has actually been doing great during this period, which was a pleasant surprise. But it's more like, how about we stop this hiring race? And I mean, the it was just crazy,
Yeah.
right? I mean, expectations were 5 hires per recruiters,
Okay.
which is nowhere to be seen in
Yeah.
the recruitment market, right? It's very, very aggressive. And I mean, still have tech recruiters doing 8 hires per month. And I mean, you could think that we're hiring whoever. Absolutely not. We're very, very tough. So what I'm doing right now is I'm not hiring anybody else.
Mm.
I stopped scaling the team until I properly understand what I have, in the sense that, I mean, I know who I have in the team,
Mm.
right? Their performance, etc. But it's more, at the vibe coding, doing things, and it's
Mhm.
like, oh, look, I did this new dashboard. Yeah, awesome, great. Like, how can we all use it? I've created a bunch of different bots and everything, but at the moment, it's kind of like mine, and it's not into production or
Yeah.
anything, right? So this is one of the conversations I'm actually having in the 1 hour. So we are actually starting the search for a person, a project manager that would actually enable AI within HR.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole people division, right?
Mm.
Because we need guidance. We're not sure what to do. We don't know what we can do. We
Mm.
don't have, once again, like, I'm building those cool things. I think it's cool.
Mhm.
Is it? We'll see. But like, how do I push production?
Mm.
And until we have like a better understanding of those things, which will in the end like properly unleash the full potential of, once again, right now we're using Claude heavily.
Mm.
We will not be injecting more people in the team, and I believe this is something that the business is also gonna start doing, and a
Mm.
lot of businesses around
Yeah.
the world will also be doing, because we just know we've got like this incredible thing
Mm.
that has like a crazy potential. And we've built a few things, right? I mean, I've built a whole CNB tool, right?
Yeah.
I've built scoring, CV scoring for candidates, right? An auto scheduler, right? That can
Mm.
actually schedule the candidates. So all those things. But like, what does this mean, and how do we scale it? Can we
Mm.
scale it?
Mm.
So that's the question.
Yeah. I
So
see. I see that, and it all comes down to your imagination, right?
yeah,
And actually how you think. And something that we talk about a lot at Halo is like this belief system, because using AI and how you end up scaling with purpose, naturally it's all linked to how you think and how you go about actually implementing that within your team and your overall business.
yeah.
And I mean, just going on to the fact that you mentioned there, you're hiring somebody slightly more operational into your team to actually look at how you productionize your AI
Correct.
systems for scale, right? And this, I think we're starting to see that a lot. The other thing I'm seeing is teams now openly advertising for agents. So there's a number of companies in this region and perhaps in the
Yeah.
States, Europe, that are advertising openly for AI agents. So no longer can a human go on and put in their CV and apply, but we're actually seeing the ability for a human to develop an agent and allow that agent to then apply for
Mhm.
this position. So this is a really interesting move. Is this something that you've discussed or have thought about at Tabby?
Yeah, but so, to be very honest with you, I just find it a bit silly,
Yeah.
in the sense that, so one, an agent applying for you, I mean, yeah, sure, just open a Chrome tab or launch Claude, and he'll do whatever you prompt him to do. So is it like, cool, we actually have like an engineer. No, so this specific thing, I just think it's a bit silly. Can we have AI within recruitment processes? I mean, we have AI within the recruitment process, whether you like it or not. Candidates are using AI and have been using AI for quite some time, right? And it's just getting like crazier and crazier. So no, the bigger question, and it's something that a lot of TA professionals are talking about. It's not like how. It's how do we control it, in the sense that so I expect every single assessment we receive or case study built by GPT, Claude, whoever, right? Now, the question is, can you actually talk and understand, or do you have no clue and the AI just did it? Because if not, like, I mean, GPT costs $20, right? So this is where we have to be more careful, right? And with like Claude and all those different things, right? And you see like fake engineers joining your process, fake product managers, etc.
Yeah.
So can people do it? Yeah, and pretty easily. Now it's how do we control it, and how do we actually, one is accept it, and I think it should be accepted, but how do we differentiate the person who understand what the AI agent is doing and the one who has like no clue at all, right?
Over reliance on AI.
Correct.
Right? There's a fine line and balance. So look, it's been an interesting journey. I've followed Tabby over the past few years, and the growth is astronomical. So congratulations firstly to Tabby and the team. And it sounds like you're working on some really exciting stuff. So I'm excited to see what happens over the next few months and going into the rest of the year. And it's been awesome getting to know you a bit better. And thank you for sharing your story today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.